Everything in our life is controlled by 3 decisions. And I think one of the most powerful things we could do to serve you is have you become clear of what the controlling force is that's controlling the quality of your life. And you and I both know it's not the amount of money in your pocket, it's not who you know, it's not even what you've been through. It's really the decisions you make moment to moment about a couple of different things. And the 3 decisions I made in that moment that I'd like to pull your attention to just real quick are, in this moment you're making these 3 decisions, by the way. The first one is, what are you going to focus on? And whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. In fact, many of us in this room, who's ever focused on something, you were thinking something horrible was going to happen, you experienced the pain of that failure, that challenge in your life, and then it never ever happened. Who's had this experience? Say, I. And if things aren't bad in your life, you can always think of shit that hasn't even happened yet and feel bad in advance. Because whatever you focus on, you'll feel. Focus equals feeling, because if you start to take control of your focus, you take control of your life. And the second decision you make is, what does it mean? As soon as you look at something, think about something, focus on it, you decide, what does this mean? Is this the beginning or the end? Is this punishment and reward? Is God trying to hurt me or trying to challenge me? Or is this nothing to do with God? I was just being a lazy bastard. Right? The meanings we give to things control our life. If you think it's the end of a relationship, are you going to behave the same way as you think it's the beginning of a relationship? In the beginning of a relationship, when you're in totally love with someone, what will you do for them? Tell me, what will you do? So when you have the meaning that this is the beginning of the relationship and this person's the most incredible thing and you will do what for them? What will you do? Anything. When you're in that place, you do anything. In the beginning of a relationship, if your partner said, would you take out the trash? But after about 7 days or 7 weeks or 7 months or 7 years or 70 years, one day someone said, would you take out the trash? You go, what do I look like? You're janitor. You go, what happened to our passion? I'll give you a clue. If you want a relationship to last, if you think it's coming to the end, do what you did in the beginning and there won't be an end. Because when you think it's the beginning, you behave differently than the end. The meaning we associate to things controls our entire lives. And when you come up with a meaning, it produces an emotion. And if you and I want to look at the quality of our life, there's only a way to define it. One way, really, that's real. How do you feel every day? If every day of your life you got $1 billion and every day you feel guilty or angry, by the way, nothing worse than an angry rich man or woman, isn't it? You just want to slap them, don't you? How do you have the right to be angry? But they find a way. But if you got $1 billion and you're angry and you're pissed off and you're guilty all the time, what is the quality of your life? You can be miserable no matter what you have, and you can be euphoric having nothing. We all know it's true. In fact, is it possible to learn to, for example, all hell could be breaking loose around you, and you could just be sitting in a chair in this centered space, all hell breaking loose, and you could still feel great? Is that possible? Yes or no? Yes or no? Sure, but you and I live in a Western culture where if you sit and bliss out, people come and take your furniture. So we have to be good at not only controlling the internal world, but our external world. And that's shaped by what we do. And what people do is based on their emotions and also their role models. So I thank you, Mark, and I thank all of you that are role models for people, where you show people that success does not mean taking, that success can mean truly growing and giving. That money, resources, and opportunity are things to be shared. They're things that are tools for a quality of life that you're able to enhance for people and for yourself and your family. Pretty beautiful thing.
What does it take to develop a rich mindset? Since you've been both poor financially and rich financially, what do you think it takes to develop a rich mindset?
You know, that is such a great question, because people don't understand how important that question is. People say to me, James, I need to make a quick $10,000 really fast. What should I do this weekend? That's not that's not a reasonable question, and there's no answer to that. But mindset is, and it almost sounds like cliche, so I'll get it more practical, but there's so many aspects of mindset, but you have to realize that money is not, how should I put this? Money is not something you get so you can spend it. Money is a symptom of having a good growth mindset, not a scarcity mindset. So having an abundance mindset. So for instance, this is just an example, but I write down ideas every day. I write down 10 ideas a day, and often I write down ideas for other people. I might write down, 10 ideas for Google, and I'll send them to Google. And as a result, I've been invited to visit, and I visited Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Quora, Twitter. I visited all these companies because I share ideas with them. Do you know who Charlemagne the God is from the Breakfast Club?
Great guy.
So I once sent him a list during the pandemic. I sent him, hey man, I heard this recent interview you did with Joe Biden, and there was something you said there that really intrigued me. And so I outlined, just for the fun of it, I sent him an outline of a book I felt he should write. And I said, just ignore this note or do it. I don't care. And he did it, and he wanted to involve me. And I said, no, just do it. You should do this book. And what circumstances happened that I ended up doing it with him, but I really was fine if he had just done it. And people ask me, aren't you afraid of sharing your ideas? Won't people steal your ideas? And yes, sometimes. I once shared an investment idea with a billionaire guy who said he would do it with me, and then he didn't, and he made literally hundreds of millions using this idea. And he called me 2 weeks later and said, oh, it turns out I already did it. And I'm like, how did you already do it when you didn't even hear about it when I told you it? But people steal ideas. But I have an abundance mindset. It's not like this is my only idea ever. I'm going to if it was verification that I had good ideas, the fact that he stole it and it worked. So you have to have an abundance mindset about everything. Like some people say, oh, don't have the Starbucks for $7 when you could get on the corner for $1. Now, admittedly, some people can't afford the $7, but that's a different category. They shouldn't spend the $7. But in general, most working people can go out and buy a hardcover book, or can get economy premium when they fly instead of just economy. But they're worried about the extra $30, and they figure, oh no, if I saving is the same as making. And that's not true, because you can't. You can make more than 100% of your net worth, but you can only save 100% of your net worth. So it's very different from making money. And so money is just an energy of having good creative ideas, sharing your ideas widely, helping other people execute on their ideas, and then wealth and abundance come back naturally, as cliche as it sounds. Now, you have to have ideas, you have to have execution ideas, you have to have a strong network, but you get a strong network by having an abundance mindset. So if I'm always sharing ideas with people, hey, I just read your book, you should do this, this, and this to market the book, or this, and this to monetize the book in different ways, like do a course, or do some merchandise, or do this. So as long as you're always sharing, you're the person people call when they have an extra opportunity. I write about this in the book, actually. I call this the Google technique. So Google is an interesting website in that when I go to Google and I say, Google, can you tell me about what's the best motorcycle I should buy? The first thing Google says to me implicitly is, listen, James, we don't know anything about motorcycles, but we've done the homework, and here are the top 10 websites you should go to if you want to find out about motorcycles. And just being honest, these 3 websites paid us to say this.
Right.
And they measure success by how quickly people leave their website. But what website do you go back to when Google, what does this rash mean? Is it something I should worry about? Google's the place you go. Mm-hmm. So the Google technique, this has made Google, this one idea, this one concept has made Google $1.5 trillion value. As opposed to like, oh, we can't tell you about motorcycles unless you subscribe to us or whatever. So by sharing and sending people away from them, that's the best way to create value. So now you can do this technique individually. If someone says, hey, can you introduce me to someone who could be a co-founder of my company? Sure. Here's this person who's a good programmer. You don't need to pay me anything. Don't worry about it. You might not be worth $1.5 trillion using this technique, but you'll be worth something, because there's opportunities always flow back, and it's not woo-woo to say this. It's not like an energy thing, or a karma thing. It's just that's how abundance mindsets work. And so when I was really depressed about losing all my money, I thought, oh my gosh, I had won the lottery. I worked really hard for 5 or 6 years, and I made a lot of money, and then I blew it all. I had to realize that I didn't win the lottery, that I didn't just get lucky, that I needed to just start coming up with ideas again and exercising my idea muscle. and I was so depressed. And then just a few months of writing down ideas, I felt like my brain was coming alive and like neurons were connecting, and it was like magic. And then things started to happen. I started to do things, because that's the key really, is taking the ideas and then doing something with them. Not all of them, because most of the ideas are bad. You're just exercising the idea muscle. But doing stuff, I just came to life again. For the first, it was like years of depression, and then it was like I was a new person just doing this.
Stay strong, have faith, keep pushing through. I've said this before, and I'm living proof of it, is that on the other side of your struggle is something good. On the other side of your struggle is something better. On the other side of your struggle is some sort of success.
It's time. It's time to face some adversity. Look around you. You are here now, in a present time of greatness. I stand here, I look into your eyes, and I feel the spirit of a warrior. I feel the spirit of a gladiator. You have not come this far to come this far. You have not sacrificed the hours, days, weeks, months to taste defeat. You have the warrior spirit in your soul. You have the warrior mindset.
And now they want to throw shade at you, but your shield deflected it. You tell them winning in progress over here, so please eliminate the negative vibe. It's time to remove them from your circle and find yourself a positive tribe.
When you can realize that your worst days were truly your best days. When you can realize that every human being goes through pain and injustice, some more than others, but everyone goes through it. Everyone's had someone be completely unjust to them. Everyone has had someone hurt them who they loved and cared for deeply, or they trusted, or they looked to for support or love. It's part of how we grow spiritually.
And the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear.
We can get so wrapped up in the details. How fast your race time is going to be, how much money you're going to make on this deal, what the coach is going to say, what are you going to write. We get so wrapped up in these details, we never get started in the first place. This is fear of success. This is fear of not knowing, and this is called faith. Go where there is no path and leave a trail.
Don't focus on the fear. The fear is going to be in the room anyway.
It's how you deal with things at that age. And then you grow up, but you don't necessarily shed that habit, that mentality. And it becomes obvious, right? I mean, you can talk to someone for 30 seconds and you know right away if they have that victim mentality. The world's falling down, they're tired, they have so much to do, they're so busy, X, Y, and Z.
I start to say, what if I can pull this off? It's the what if I can pull off a miracle. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be?